It's Sunday night. That's right. It's Sunday night here in the beautiful, sort of cold, no Patriots in the Super Bowl having United States. This is Men Off John, and this is Painting with Men Off John. It is an exciting evening here in Painting with Men Off John land, if for no other reason than Tom Brady can suck it. No partisanship here. But I'm just tired of the Patriots, and I'm kind of glad to see him gone. But from out east, a man I know is no Tom Brady or Patriot love type of guy. We have the co-host with the host, Mr. John Spencer. Say hello to the Brushheads, John.
Hey, Brushheads, how's it going?
Oh, yeah. We have no idea how many of you are there. There's 12. I guess there's 12 of you watching right now, and we're certainly happy to have you. We don't know exactly who's there unless you say something in the chat room, because the list that tells us who's actually there isn't working. Thank you, Twitch TV. You're the best ever. Does that count as our technical problem for the podcast, John?
I'm going to count it.
All right, we got that out of the way. So if that's the worst one we have tonight, John, we are in awesome shape.
Indeed.
Yes. Well, we've made it 2 minutes into the show, and I have yet to release the Kraken, so we've got to do something about that. So I would like to say to the Denver Broncos, another team I have no love for whatsoever, but you're better than the Patriots. This one's for you. Hey, Ron!
Ron!
Oh, that's some good stuff right there. The Kraken. If you're not celebrating with the Kraken during the show, I have to recommend it, folks. Men Off John would not steer you wrong. So did you make it through another week there, partner?
Yeah, barely. It was rough in the beginning, but got through it okay.
Was it a dog-eat-dog world and you were wearing milk-bone underwear?
Not quite, but that does fit in with my normal words of wisdom. Some days you're the dog, some days you're the fire hydrant. Earlier in the week, I had to get a towel.
Oh, snap. All right, so we got let's see, that didn't work. Oh, we got another technical snafu. I'm trying to get the camera settings. Well, they probably work just fine. It's just that I'm on such an amazing delay on, there we go, that's better. Okay. This is what happens when you watch the Twitch feed, and it's like a good solid 30 seconds behind reality.
Hey, it's a little better than it usually is. I'm impressed.
So, there we go. All right, so now we've got the bottoms up glass. You all can marvel in the awesome that is the monkey glass. And John, I think we probably ought to start off the show to kind of recap the activities from last show off what's been done.
Absolutely. You mean the show before last, because we did have the Steamroller 2014 special in there.
Oh, snap. That is correct. For those of you who do not subscribe to Painting with Men Off John on the Twitch channel, you may have missed the fact that we had an emergency Painting with Men Off John on Monday to celebrate the release of Steamroller 2014, and it is already the #1 watched episode of Painting with Men Off John ever. So thanks to all the brushheads, all the legendary brushheads, all the brushhead wannabes out there for tuning in. Make sure that you are liking the channel so that you can get up to the second updates on your Twitter or you might get a text message, I think, or an email. I don't even know how they get a hold of you, but they have a lot of ways to get a hold of you. And we went for about an hour and 20 minutes with legendary brushhead Edifo and Mr. John Spencer. And we went through all of the scenarios on 2014. And so check it out on YouTube's and see what you think about what we think about the new Steamroller format. I'd say, long story short, we're pretty excited about it. Wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah, and our episode was so good, Chain Attack felt the need to steal our format for theirs.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of guys they are, you know.
Their guest was slightly more known than Edifo, only a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, when a guy is known by only 3 initials and how dreamy his eyes are, you know you're somebody. So, yeah, they had JVM as their guest. I've heard he knows something about this game.
A little bit.
But he's not a legendary brushhead. So there's no way we were going to have him on the special. And
he's not very good at damn, what's that game? King of Tokyo either. He's okay, but he's not great at King of Tokyo.
No, and I mean we have certain standards here on Painting with Menoff, John, and you know, we're only going to bring you the best guests when it comes to talking about 2014. And if King of Tokyo is not something you've mastered, then really, honestly, what do you have to say about SR 2014?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, this is Haley 1. Just kind of getting us back on track here a little bit because we do have a pretty full show for you tonight. But do get to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and check out our talk about the SR 2014. So she turned out pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of refresh the brush heads, this was the model that preceded her. This is my Epic Haley. She came along a couple of years, well, maybe a year and a half ago, and I think I did a pretty good job of capturing kind of where she was. It looks like in her Epic form, her boobs got a little bigger.
That happens.
Yeah, it's possible with the robotic arm she may have gotten a job. You know, she might have had a little plastic surgery going on. They said, you know, with the disfigurement, they probably figured, you know, while you're there, she said. That's what I'm thinking.
She's gonna make up for the mechanical arm turning guys off. She's gotta get that back.
Well, I'm sorry. The robotic arm is totally a turn on.
Not so much. not so much.
All right, so there's Epic Haley and regular Haley. Epic Haley goes back on the shelf to collect more dust. Regular Haley will be possibly going to San Diego, and by possibly I mean definitely, doing some preparations for Kingdom Con.
Oh.
I'm going to switch over here now to my purple gun mages. So these are
real quick on Haley. Have you thought about taking her little loincloth and making it blue to sort of tie it together? I found the brown a little. I mean, it looks good, but it's still a little. It'd be a little more poppy with the blue there, maybe.
It wouldn't be that hard to go back and change it either.
No. Oh, gun mage is looking good too.
I'm going to think about that. That's a good suggestion, John. Yeah, the gun mages look pretty cool. These are purple gun mages because my mercs are purple. They're Leolese gun mages, I guess. I've never seen like an artwork for a Amethyst Rose gun mage, but this is kind of what I was thinking they might be. So that's kind of the thought that I had. You got the dude here, and I did write the dude on the back of his base.
Well, everyone's got to know who he is.
Well, yeah, especially me, because it's hard for me to tell who's who in this damn unit. Then, let's see, here is just a regular dude with his sword out. And then we have the gun mage chick. I've got her right here. I put a little green bow in her hair just to give it a little bit of a pop. And I'm pretty happy with how these guys turned out. I might need to look at what I'm doing here for my zoom a little bit. I think I'm having a tough time keeping things in frame. It could be this that I suck at this. So I did try a little something different on these guys. I used a new Citadel paint for their gun glows. I used the Neelic Oxide, which is one of the new technical paints that they have. It's in the same line as the Typhus Corrosion and the Rise of Rust that we discussed. It's like when I used to do my glows, I would take Arcane Blue, mix it with a little bit of water, a little bit of mixing medium, and some Future Floor Wax. And that's nice because it gives you a little bit of a shine to it. But on on Haley's base and on the glows on the guns for the gun mages, I used this Neelic Oxide, and it turned out pretty good. I'm I'm not nearly as enamored with it as I am the Typhus Corrosion and the Rise of Rust, but I think it's a nice paint. Something to think about.
Cool.
So on that, I'm going to drink a little more Kraken, just for the hell of it.
Well, we got a quick break. I am gonna give a shout out to Senator Vale. He is one of my locals, and he is in the military, and he's going to be deployed to Korea. I think he leaves in a couple days, so fair travels to you, Senator Vale.
Yep, thank you, Senator Vale, for being on the show and in the chat room as often as you've been. Really appreciate it. Sad to see a legendary brushhead that is going to be heading away from the fold here for a little bit, but Godspeed and stay safe there in Korea. Turns out there's kind of a nutty dude just north of the border of there, so try to stay out of North Korea. I've heard he's kind of a goofball. And stay safe and come back as soon as possible. Keep in mind, we always got the YouTubes that you can stay up and check out at your leisure. And we'll be occasionally sending out the occasional shout out on the show, I'm sure. And make sure you leave some comments on the show and all that kind of good stuff. So take care, Centerville. So for tonight's show, I'm going to be painting the last two models I need for the team tournament that I'm participating in at Kingdom Con in San Diego. And one of them, as you can see, is Thorn, and the other one is the female version variant of the Junior Warcaster. So, going to be working on these tonight while we do our normal shenanigans. The goal here is to paint the Junior Warcaster like Pink, the Rockstar, because I think the sculpt looks like Pink. So she's going to platinum blonde hair. And then Thorn is going to be my normal grays and blues, as you can see. So anyway, so we'll get started on that. We're going to have a little bit of a different start to starting segment tonight. We're going to have a special talk with my co-host with Mr. John Spencer. We're calling it Deep Thoughts with John Spencer. John, you had some observations from some games that you played this week. Not full bat reps, but some things you were thinking about and that you wanted to share with the team.
Absolutely. I played a game on Friday against a very new player who's just starting out.
Okay.
And, did a lot of coaching for him throughout the game. He ended up winning.
Good.
And he formulated a good plan and all. But when you're playing against new players, treat it like they're going to do everything right. Don't expect them to do wrong stuff. Because early in the game, I got way ahead because he just sort of walked forward into my threat, and I put a bunch of shit into his face, and took Thunderhead off the table in a turn, tied up a bunch of stuff, crushed a bunch of his dudes. But he had gotten lucky with some Sword Knights, and they got embased with one of the flags, and Kane had gone that way. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, if he's smart, he's going to score 3 points before I have a chance to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't get to the flag because it was sort of behind a forest, run around, and Victor's not that fast. So I went all out with Ron to...
Hey, Ron!
Yeah. To blow up enough of his Sword Knights to make it so he couldn't score the flag.
Yep.
But it left me out there, for a win. But, treat him like that, You may lose the game, but it's, a fun game. It's not a tournament.
Yep.
Treat him like he's going to do everything right. And let him see what happens. You don't want to coddle him. You don't want to, go for the throat for all the super first-turn janky assassinations. I was thinking about it, but I'm like, maybe not.
So what you're saying is that by assuming that he's going to make the right moves, you, in fact, start to learn what are the right things you should be doing on each turn as well, right?
That too, yeah, because I learned a lot just from playing that game like he was going to... Because he probably wouldn't have done it perfectly. He probably wouldn't have moved Kane in. He would have taken some bad assassination, maybe just scored 2 points earlier. And even if he had scored 3 points, he was never going to score again. I was going to blow Kane off the table.
Yep.
But I treated him like that. Just, it helps me. It helps him. Plus, if you go crazy and leave your caster out there for a new player, he's going to build some confidence.
Yep.
He's going to see what it takes. He's going to look at his dice and go, okay, I had to roll all solid rolls to kill you. And he needs to learn when that's good and not. When they go for that assassination even. So
yep.
That was my Friday game. It was pretty good,
That makes sense.
And then We had a Convergence release event. Not a lot of players for it, but a fair amount. Banian, who's in the chat room, had played a little bit too.
Shout out to Banian.
Yeah. But I got a couple games in with that just to make sure there's enough people playing.
Nice.
Everyone get their points. And learned a couple things about that. And some deep thoughts is, even if you're going for that all-out, all-or-nothing assassination, try and give a little thought to what your opponent's going to do to you.
Yep. Have
Maybe
a contingency
take one
plan.
less shot at his caster to ensure that your caster won't die. I was playing Butcher 2.
Yep.
And I was playing Ossian.
Yep.
And, I went all out. I left him with, 2 boxes.
Oh.
But I put myself in a perfect position where all he could get to me was Behemoth. And he didn't have a lot of focus to give out.
He rolled poorly, huh?
He rolled, it wouldn't matter, he could only give it 3. He actually only had 2 to give it.
Oh, okay.
But since I had put him a little further back, Butcher himself couldn't get to me. So Behemoth walked up, took 2 swings, whiffed twice, as he does occasionally do, and I got to kill Butcher 2 in melee with Ossian, which doesn't happen a lot.
Wow, you don't hear that happening.
Well, he was behind cover, and actually once he killed the jack in front of me, he didn't have any focus, but he was engaging me exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good deal when you get the chance to take on Butcher 2 with arguably the guy that I probably failed with trying to kill anything with more than any other caster. That's good stuff.
Absolutely. And then I played one more game against I was playing Krios 2.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 Crusaders, Fire of Salvation, and a double shield light jack.
Oh, yeah, the Vigilant? Yep.
Yeah. And I was playing Cindervale, let me borrow his Viros 2 since mine's not assembled, and told me to play them, and I played 3 Griffins, 2 Aspis, and a Phoenix. And, that was a hoot.
I bet you tore him straight up.
Well, it was actually a pretty good fight, but I was going to let him, he wanted to arc 5 spells for the objective. Okay. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll play around, let him do that. But then he kept arcing Chassin at my caster, wanting to take down his Synergy. I'm like, that's my fun. You can't take away my fun.
You have
Synergy at 1 turn at that objective in the middle, which is not easy because it's armor 25 and 20 boxes.
Yep. Synergy's fun.
Yeah, he's pretty fun, and he's kind of hard without Arcanist to give you the extra focus, and you start, the early ones you're like, oh, I'm not doing a lot of damage, but then you get him in, Virus himself in, or get the Phoenix in, and it's just and I crush stuff.
Now you know what it's like to play Protectorate. I have played the I'm on all the lights anchored by 1 or 2 heavies list, and I'm going to tell you what, that is some good old times right there, because you get to the end of that chain with a choir battle infused Reckoner hitting POW 29 or something like that, and it is just amaze balls. You just watch stuff evaporate.
It's really fun when a Virus gets to the end on Krios himself, and you're like, well, I'm only at Synergy +3, but that means my charge is Mat 13.
Yep.
So I hit you on anything but, and, I'm POW 17, and I'm dice plus go away.
Exactly. Cool.
So that was cool. So those are my deep thoughts about War Machine. Not super deep, but...
You know what? That's deep for this show.
Yeah.
That's some deep stuff.
I got a game of Infinity in, and...
Nice.
My opponent was another guy who occasionally shows up here, Bowie. I don't think he's here right now, but... and he was a little depressed after the game because, spoilers, this is his 3rd game, and he has gotten crushed in all 3. He had 1 model left at the end.
Welcome to my world, dude. I played War Machine for a year before I won my first game.
And we're probably going to have fun. I don't know what any of his stuff does because I'm still doing Infinity. This is my 7th game.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I look at his stuff, I'm like, if that has that, it's scary as crap.
But what faction was he playing?
He was playing a Sectoral, for the Combined Army, which are the aliens.
Okay.
Called the Morat Aggression Force, which is all basically space monkeys.
Space monkeys! That sounds fun.
They're heavily armored, they're heavily armed, they've got good physical stats, so they can leap and dodge, and they're pretty crazy.
And they're space monkeys.
Yeah, and I'm still playing my Hakislam mercenaries, basically.
Okay.
And, he's making a ton of armor saves, which is impressive. Because, I mean, it's just rolling, big numbers all the way for those, but those big numbers don't always help. For fun notes we had, I had a space pirate drop in and try and, he's going to try and kill, a building full of dudes. But I totally flubbed the roll, scattered, 15 inches away.
Uh-oh.
And on a 4x4 board, that's
a long ways away.
But ended up in a good spot, and I'm staring at this one dude who had just shot up one of my other dudes, and just got heavy machine gun and heavy armor, and I'm bouncing fire off of him, and he's laughing at me like I'm nothing. And that space pirate had happened to roll for her booty, this female model, EM grenades. So I have her drop prone and crawl in front of the window and just start speculatively firing grenades through the window. So he can't see her because she's down on the ground, and I'm just throwing grenades through the window. Well, grenade, because the first one, I roll, and you take a big -6 penalty, which on the 20 side is a hell of a penalty.
Yeah. Yep.
And I stuck the first one with a critical. You rolled exactly what I needed. Freeze up his armor, so he can't do anything.
Yep.
And then, stand up, jump to the window, shoot him, go into melee. He laughs at me a lot. I mean, do one wound and walk away and shoot him again, and he laughs at that.
Yep.
That's okay. Wrist licker, who's my hacker.
Yep.
His arm's right next to his face. It looks like he's licking his wrist or something.
So he's wrist licker. Okay.
He's camo. He's got a boarding shotgun, which is armor-piercing ammunition, which is supposed to be really good at killing big stuff.
Yep.
Note the words
supposed to be. Yep.
He rolls over, starts pumping fire into him, and just does not do a wound. So his turn, he has a guy walk out, kill my space pirate. It happens.
Yep.
But he restarts his armor, and I get to shoot him, but he restarts his armor and walks into melee with me. I shoot him again, he laughs at it, gets in melee, and his melee is 17 and mine's 13. So,
okay. And you got to roll under, correct?
Well, he's got to roll, if he rolls a 17 or under and higher than me, he wins no matter what.
Okay.
If I roll a 13 or under and higher than him, I win.
Okay.
So he rolls a 20, and I roll a 10, so I hit him. But I've got a knife. But then the guys are well, you're allowed to use your demo charges in melee. So I'm demo charge to the face. Which makes him make 3 saves, and it's armor piercing. He already has 1 wound on him. He's got 1 more wound. He fails 1, falls down, but passes the other 2, so he's still just unconscious.
Okay.
And he's got this thing called auto medkit, so he can just spend an order to try and get up.
Okay.
He does that, gets up. Luckily, the game works. I get to respond, and I just put another demo charge in his face, don't fail the roll, and finally kill him.
Oh my gosh!
It was
what an epic battle!
Crazy. Yeah.
Sounds like some real dice happened in the game too. With some of the just at the right time, you got some really good rolls.
I got just enough at the right times, and he made a lot of saves, but he couldn't make them all.
Nice. That game sounds bananas fun.
It can be. I mean, on his end, he was a little frustrated because he said there was another game that ended with a high-profile model, Scarface, walking through and killing everything he had left, which is what I do.
That's what that model does, from what we've heard on Bat Reps on this show.
That's what I do. I kill everything that can hurt him, and then I'm you can't really hurt him so much. You get little rifles. Now I go kill everything.
Yeah. Well, that's called good strategy. I mean, even in War Machine, you think about what's out there that can hurt me. Okay, that's got to die, and then the rest of it becomes let's mop up.
Yep. And I think that was a Saga Rat. I don't know what his stuff is. It's got weird names. It had a heavy machine gun, heavy armor, and scared the piss out of me.
So Edifo is actually a real big Infinity guy now. He's thinking about. He was telling me the other day on a private message he's looking at focusing even more a little bit on that game. So, yeah, I know that Edifo, legendary brushhead Edifo, sure appreciates the Infinity Bat Reps.
I'll try and get him in. I also want to play more to get a better feel for the game.
Yep, no, that makes sense. It sounds like Banana's fun. I mean, like I said, I'd probably have a small army if it weren't for the fact that nobody around here plays.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop the zoom back a little bit on the camera, I think, and just see what I can see how it looks. Seems like I'm like painting and it's all up in the shiznat, which I'm not okay with. So let's see what we got here. Hopefully this will be a little bit better out there.
Well, the picture's not too bad. You can set a focus when you're moving it, but then you get it framed back in again pretty well.
Doing the best I can here with the limited abilities that I have. This is a low production value show, and it shows.
So that's pretty good too.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is Ironbreaker. Good. This is the color. This is Ironbreaker that I'm using for the steels, and I wanted to make sure I was doing that, and I wasn't Runefang steel. That's too bright. It takes too much work to dull it back down to where I want it.
Gotcha. Well, here, you got some battle reports, too.
I do. We're going to start off with a board game that I am absolutely nuts about right now, and that is Rivet Wars. Rivet Wars I got as on the Kickstarter, and it's a game by a gentleman by the name of Ted Terranova, which I believe this is his very first game. And Ted is, I believe, more of a comic book guy, I think, and I need to do some more research on that. But he was approached by Cool Mini or Not, and they did this game. And the concept of the game is that it takes place in this little world where everybody looks like little rivets. So they're super cute, and it's more or less a World War I trench warfare game. So you have infantry, and you've got guys on motorcycles with rocket-propelled grenades and stuff, and you have one side that is the Blight, which is like the World War I German army, and then you've got the God, I can't remember what the green guys are called, but they're like the British or the Americans at that point. They're wearing, American Army green colors and stuff like that, and it has very much the look and feel of Zombicide, in that you have a booklet with some scenarios in it, and you have you have map grids. So you have 9 of those, and you take the scenario, you lay out the map according to the map grids, and then you have a certain number of deployment points each turn, and you deploy your units, and you also get rivets every turn on some scenarios. And those rivets are used to purchase really good units, like your heroes or like a big tank or something like that. And while the deployment points do not roll over from turn to turn, the rivets do, so you can save them up. You get 1 per turn, and then you can buy like the big tank that comes with it and stuff like that for like 3 rivets and like 6 deployment points. So the turn order in the game is such that I do all my stuff, then you do all your stuff, and back and forth and back and forth. It's a victory point game. Victory points are gained by taking over strategic points on the map, and you play to a certain victory point level based on the scenario that you choose. A lot of times it's 10 victory points, and I tell you, I think it's the best game that Cool Mini or Not has done to date. And I think it's better than Super Dungeon Explorer. It's certainly faster than Super Dungeon Explorer, and it's more simple. It's the best written rule book that they've done to date, because Super Dungeon Explorer's rule book is a straight up disaster. The pieces could not be more cute. It plays in about 45 minutes, and so that's super big deal. It's only a 2-player game. They just came out with a 3 or 4 person scenario, but it requires extra map grids, which means you're either going to get another copy of the game, or I remember on the Kickstarter that they had the ability to order extra map grids, but I don't think I did that option. So maybe someday in the future I'll be able to buy some. But right now, I think I've played 6 or 7 games of it, and I'm about 50% win percentage against my 10-year-old, my 7-year-old, and my girlfriend. And so it's, but I think it speaks volumes that I'm able to play a good game against a lot of different demographics. And I think everybody to a person really enjoyed it. So I could not more highly recommend Rivet Wars.
Cool. You might want to take a look at the focus. It looks like it's sort of popping in and out of focus.
All right, I'll go back to the other camera settings. Yeah, I see that. It's kind of wanky.
Yeah, one of the locals got Rivet Wars. He hasn't brought it in yet, but I kind of want to give it a shot. I didn't Kickstarter it because that was in, I didn't have the money at the time. So.
Yep, I understand. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Let me see here. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to move the zoom back a little bit. Let's see here and see if I can fix it that way. Zoom.
That looks better.
And now I'm going to kick the. Let's get the focus a little bit too. Yeah, I feel like I'm at the doctor's office when I do this. Is this better or is this better? Is this better or is this better?
Gotta hate those for eye tests.
Oh my god, they're the worst ever. Okay, this should be pretty good now. Hopefully, with the zoom pulled back a little bit and with the focus adjusted, hopefully the picture quality will be a little bit better. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was Joseph X. He was mentioning that.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. That's you got to speak up out there in the chat room. If I'm making a mockery of the production values, we got to talk about it. Okay, so I'm gonna put him down. And probably come back and put a little bit more steel on him. But right now, what I need more than putting steel on paint is I need another shot of the Kraken, because it is 7:30, and that means that it is time for Flippities and Bloops. Now, my co-host with the most is telling me that we might be a little light on Flippity Bloops tonight. So if that turns out to be the case, I've got another board game recap to go through, and I could talk about how I lost to the worst caster in Legion. But we'll do Flippity Bloops right now, so we stay on task, if you will. Yeah. Okay. Now the focus went to poop again. So let me see if I can't fix that up again.
So first, I'm going to give an anti-shout out to the MkII Mini forums for giving us exactly 0 Flippity Bloops.
Those guys can.
Despite me putting the thread out there on Friday.
Come on, MkII Minis. We rely on you for hosting, not a whole lot more. So, yeah, that's some weak sauce. So anti-Flippity Bloop on that one.
Yes, and the first actual Flippity Bloop comes from Cliff Hughes.
Hey, Cliff.
Who asks, what color were dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs were mostly, I'm going to say sewage water green, and but they had highlights of Heartfire. All of them. They were all uniformly that way. Scientists were wrong. They were all the same color, and that's partially why they died out. Is because the meteor could see them. Flippity Bloop.
Well, I'd actually say that aren't they supposed to have? Isn't the common thought now that they had like feathers and shit?
Yeah, they probably had feathers. They think now.
Yeah, well.
So, what color do you think their feathers were?
Oh, I think there were all sorts of colors, like birds. I imagine there were some that were like the bright yellow, like my bird, and
I like my
some that were the green and all that. And probably some smaller ones that had all sorts of camouflage to hide from the bigger predators.
I think what you're saying is possible, but I think it's wrong because, like I said, they were all sewage water green with Heartfire. So there, Flippity
Fair
Bloop.
enough.
Yeah, my show.
All right. The next one's from Alan Green.
Okay.
He asks, who is your arch nemesis playing War Machine, player-wise? That one person who challenges you the most when playing.
Okay, so when I was living in Logan, Utah, there's a gentleman there by the name of Mike O'Donnell. And unfortunately, I don't know that anybody from back in Logan listens to this show, so they're not going to hear this, but he was so hard for me to beat. He is a guy that can put together the most god-awful, ridiculous combinations. He sees the inherent combos between, like this piece with this piece, and you add that spell, and, I'm power strength 403, and I can travel 84 inches across the board and stuff like that. And he can just put those together, like, just amazingly well. And I would get assassinated by him all the time. Now, the son of a buck would go up to a tournament and just would not do well. And it was like, come on, Mike. It's like you freaking make a mockery out of me every Thursday. Come on, work with me here. You can get this done. And but he's still a strong player. Haven't talked to Mike in a little bit since I moved back out here. Basically in the Intermountain region, nobody beats Chain Attack Jay. That just doesn't happen. Jay is the best War Machine player in the Intermountain region within 200 miles, to be honest. I think even though he lost to Omnis removed from play at the Intermountain Cup last year, most people would tell you that was a fluke, and it was a very rare mental mistake on Jay's part that cost him that game. But other than that, since I moved back here, there's a gentleman that plays Rulix at my game store right now. And I'm sorry, sir, I'm going to not get your name. And he has my number. It is just ridiculous. We played a journeyman league where I was playing Denegra, won, and he was playing Gorton, and he landslid me like 4 games, and I lost all 4 games. He just owns me. What about you, John?
Well, the main one I would say we actually don't play anymore. He's part of a different meta, if you will,
okay.
And we don't like him. And I'm not going to use his actual name.
Brett Painter?
No, not Brett Painter.
Okay.
We refer to him as the Douche Tannic. We just hope he hits his iceberg soon. He's one of those guys. He was the one, when I still played him, he was the one where it's like suddenly everything goes wrong, I can't work right. Of the people I still play, it's probably Centervale. We haven't played a lot of games recently, but we seem to give each other the best game.
Are you saying that, John, just because he's like moving to Korea?
No, I'm saying it because I actually crush most of the other guys at my store usually.
Oh!
Like, Banian's in there saying that I'm his his arch nemesis, which is fairly true.
You have no idea how much I wish you were one of my nuts at TempleCon.
Well, maybe next year. It's not this year. And yes, Forsaken Pop-Tart, we do actually call him the Douche Tannic. He's done a lot to earn our enmity. He's still welcome at the store. Everyone's welcome at the store until they do something in the store to not be welcome, but we're not big fans of him. He sort of burnt the bridges with us pretty well. I will treat him fine, but I'm not going to be nice excessively. I'm not going to be mean. I'm just going to be, he exists.
There you go. So he's your arch nemesis because of personal reasons, not because he's somebody that you like.
Game-wise, too. He was the one where it would just all go wrong, and he would beat me most of the time. I mean, those are the victories back when we got along that I counted better because he was a good player, and when I beat him, it was always sweeter, but it didn't happen a lot.
Yep. I'm pretty happy right now that the sword is about to fall off of my junior warcaster. I think that's pretty awesome.
It's kind of fragile. Mine actually broke off mine. I had to get a whole new arm.
I think I can pin this thing back together when push comes to shove, but it's not going to be awesome. All right, so Flippity Bloop.
All right, I'm going to do these last 2 out of order.
Okay.
Jason Belcha asks, what was the worst game of War Machine you played? Like, completely sucked the fun out of it for you. And I'll roll right into that first.
Go ahead.
I was playing that same player. He had gotten Snipe Feet Code in the 4th round of a tournament the month before. So he brought a all-stealth Legion list with Lilith 2. I had correctly chosen Cara Sloan to face it, but a couple rulings went against me, and just the way things went, it was he scored points real quick. It was totally unfun. if you couldn't make it across the table, there's no cover for me to have to speak of. And the stuff that should have worked against him didn't, because basically ruled that since he ignored concealment, because Hunter and all that stuff, he also ignored Prowl with the Black 13th, was playing Signar, and that made even the thing that had a chance of stopping him from scoring not work. So he won really quick. It was the least fun I ever had in the game.
That's too bad.
That's kind of the games where I've lost on second turn. This took longer and was less fun.
I've had a couple of games in the not too distant past. Well, actually, one in the recent past and one in the not so recent past. I played at War Machine Weekend here. I played a game against a Kalissa Retribution list that with my Protectorate that had the fully kitted out new style Dester, the House Guard Thane with Eris 3 and all the new bells and whistles. And that list caused me to lose my will to live. It was, and it's not my opponent's fault. My opponent played beautifully and played it correctly. That list is a walking, talking, negative play experience, and it is. There was nothing I could do. It pushed forward hard on turn 1 with stealth, and my protectorate list was not kitted out for the one I was running was not kitted out for anti-stealth, and then by that time he went first, so he was like 3/4 of the way across the board by the second turn, and I was on my heels, and I haven't been on my heels with Protectorate like that ever, and it was harsh. So that was a bad time. I conceded the game. I just said, you know what, I got nothing. This is round 4 of my second scrambler, or round 3 of my second scrambler of the day. I no longer wish to play this game. Congratulations, please take the win, and I'm sorry that I'm not giving you a better game. And so that was a bad one. And then there was the game I played at War Machine Weekend for the Chain Attack podcast, not this last year, but the year before, where I was asked to play. I was asked to play Viros 2, and I had just been getting, abused that weekend with my Retribution. Everybody had all stealth lists. I came up against Shadow Pack casters like 3 games in a row, and it was like God was telling me that I needed to stop playing Retribution, and so it was the last straw. I played in that game, and I don't think it was a particularly easy matchup. And it just sucked my will to live out on that one as well. So those are my 2. I mean, mine were not necessarily about somebody that I was playing. It was more about just the experience that I had with the armies I was playing.
Well, to be fair, though, mine wasn't about the guy. He didn't do anything wrong. He was fine. It was just the ruling combined with the not great matchup and scenario.
Yeah.
It was Steamroller 2012, probably, at that point, which had some shenanigan-y ones. Might have been 2011 even, in the beginning. So, there you go. It wasn't him. I'm not going to say I've never had him, be a negative play experience because of him. I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
It's all good. So, I mean, we do try to. I appreciate the question. At the end of the day, Pindy with Menoth John is not about talking about negativity. It's about talking about good times and fun times, playing different games. We talk a lot of War Machine on here, but at the end of the day, we want to keep it on the positive tip. So, as far as
it's funny how few we actually have. Like, that's it. Like, aside from that, I had a couple that were like kind of not great, but every other one was at least, reasonably fun game or better.
Yep. I'll tell you real quick about, and we got one of the legendary brushheads in the chat room that'll remember this one. This still goes down as my favorite game of War Machine. and that was against Forsaken Pop-Tart at TempleCon when it was a Midnight Madness event, and we were both just punch-drunk tired. And so it started out, and we were narrating the entire game as if it was a game show. And so it became, and then he pulls out his sword and he swings. Oh, he misses. Oh, that's terrible. He rolled a 5. He needed a 6. Oh, that never happens. And stuff like that. And it went on like that for literally the whole game. And it was hysterical. And so that was that's how Brian and I got to be buddies, is we'd played that game. And we stayed in touch afterwards. And I sure look forward here in a couple of weeks to see Mr. Brian at the TempleCon. So, what's in one of your favorite memories?
Oh, God, I've got so many of them. But since you're talking about Forsaken Pop-Tart, we had a game in a smaller tournament where he's playing. You had to play 4 lists. You had to play each list once.
Oh, boy.
At like 25 points or something like that. And he was, last round we're matched up, and he's playing Siege, and I've got Ashland.
Okay.
And, I've been jamming with boom howlers, all this stuff. He's got me dead to rights. All he's going to do is hit with 2 defender cannons, and Ashland goes home.
Yep.
But he totally whiffed with 1, leaving me alive. And
I hear leaving Ash alive at close range is going to have a bad time.
But he was a ball to play against. He's just a good guy in general. It's sad that he doesn't make it down to my store more often than he does.
Good times. So we're looking forward to seeing you there, Brian. I'm getting in Wednesday, probably around 9, 10 o'clock at night, depending upon how the caravan goes. I'm driving from Racine to Rhode Island, so keep me in your thoughts and prayers there, brushheads. And also, if you want, you can follow Menoff John on Twitter. I'll probably be live tweeting as I move across the country, and we'll keep you all in the loop on what's happening at TempleCon as well. So we're expecting probably, I would guess, we're going to see a new faction at TempleCon announced.
Gotcha.
My gut tells me Zoo is going to become a playable faction.
It'll be cool. I'll be at work that day, streaming it through my computer while I'm trying to ship some packages.
Super awesome, man. Super awesome. It'll be good times. So, Flippity Bloop.
All right. Well, I'm going to answer one really quick out of the chat room, because it sort of goes into one in the Facebook.
Okay.
And the Cindervale, he wants our thoughts on Gorshade 3 in Assyria. And on related, Joseph Merrick asks, with Assyria, how do you plan to play her?
I plan to play her early and often. I think she's pretty cool. Assyria, can you, John? We talked a little bit during show prep? Do you have Assyria's card open?
I do.
Can you please remind me what her feat and spell list is like, and for the brushheads as well?
Well, her feat is while in Assyria's control area, friendly faction models gain true sight and gain 1 additional die in attack and damage rolls. For each of those rolls, you choose one of the dice rolls to be discarded.
Okay, so it is. Did it say on attack and damage, or just on attack?
Attack and damage. So it's Signs Importance Plus, because you can choose what die goes away, so you can try and get those crits on the models that have crits.
Nice.
And then she's got Ancillary Attack as her star action. And she's got P. Haley's Arcane Vortex, so she can spend a focus to negate spells that are being cast on her or a model within 3 inches of her.
I hear that's good.
Yeah.
On an 8 focus caster.
Yeah. But her spell list is Admonition, Blinding Light, which is the distraction they were talking about. It's target enemy warrior model / unit cannot make ranged or magic attacks and suffers -2 defense for 1 round. And then she's also got Crusader's Call, Viable Resolve, and Velocity.
Yeah, I think I'm going to like her.
Yeah.
So, how am I going to play her? First off, the first thing that jumps to mind is Hyperion. I think, Hyperion, is going to be a lot of fun with her. Getting the opportunity with Ancillary Attack to get two shots at pulling off the Sparkle Burst Cannon, I think is pretty strong stuff. With the Crusader's Call, she's going to be able to get it up the field a little bit further. And so that's a good deal. I think that Invaluable Resolve is always good. That's going to be nice on Halberdiers. It's going to be nice. It's a good thing on Sentinels, of course. They seem to be doing so much to help Halberdiers and help Riflemen right now. I think they're just going to be really strong with her. Blinding Light. So obviously you're going to be playing with some arc nodes with her. So I think Phoenixes are going to be. You might probably have a Phoenix in the list. So what are your thoughts, John? You're much more of a red player than I am. What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, it's funny. I think it's not going to matter so much what you play with her. She is sort of that ret toolbox, sort of like Kalyssa, just a lot less effective battlefield herself and more just helping everything around her. I mean, I've thought about just taking Ron out of my current Ron list.
Hey, Ron! Sorry. Taking Ron out of your current Ron list.
And just putting a Siri in and being fine. I've got Sentinels and Victors, a Phoenix, some Battle Mages who might go too. Might become Stormfalls because she makes Stormfalls like legit all the time, legit on her feet term, and decent all the time if she can get some Blinding Light on something.
Yep.
I was kind of, I was never unimpressed there. I looked at her, I'm like, oh, she's solid. But after listening to some podcasts about her, I'm like, I think she's better than some of those guys are saying.
Are you saying that that Muson Minis may have disparaged her a little bit?
Only one person in Muson Minis.
That would be the commander-in-chief of Muson Minis, Mr. Fat Asian John Damaris?
Yeah. He's going on about how she's not going to do any work, when really, whatever you kill with her ancillary attack, that's her doing work.
Most certainly is her doing work. That's like saying a vassal doesn't do work.
And plus, if you I love casters that do work. My favorite, Signar caster is Kane 1 because that's all he does work.
Yep.
But, sometimes just helping everything in your army is doing work.
Yeah.
Sometimes just having a focus to give out all your deck is doing work.
I hear that that Harbinger is a pretty good caster, and she does some work. Don't get me wrong. She gets up there with the Cataclysms at end game, and she can take a guy to the hole as hard as any other caster. But I think you're right. I think she's going to be really good for Retribution. I'm super excited. Ed Defoe, legendary brushhead. Ed Defoe is painting my Assyria for me. That's fantastic. Hey, look, we got 22 people in the chat room, John.
We had 25 at one point, I think.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks to all the brushheads out there. You guys are the reason we do this garbage. That, and we want to get some stuff painted.
And I think Assyria is going to be good in any game, 35 points and up. Don't play it under, because under you really need to have that end game for your caster. You need to be able to do something, not just, I run away and cast Blinding Light at you.
Yeah. I think she's going to be definitely legit. So we had some questions about. We had a question about Gatsby 3, and we discussed Gatsby 3 a little bit on the special.
Gorget 3.
Gorget 3, yeah, not Gatsby 3. Jesus. Gorget 3, and we talked about him on the special, on the 2014 special, because the spoilers came out at about the same time, and I think he's definitely legit. I think he's got some really crazy assassination vectors with taking things that are incorporeal, like Soul Hunters with Derek Wraith, with with a Machine Wraith or a Pistol Wraith, and taking all that stuff in there, pop his feet, make the person's caster stationary, and then kill him. I mean, bring a Leviathan and. Or whatever the one that has the rate of 3, fire a gun, and just make them sad. So, I don't know what else he's really got going for him. I mean, a 2-point resurrection spell that you come back without an action is okay.
Yeah, he seems okay, but he's in the faction of crazy casters.
Good point.
The hardest faction to break into their starting lineup.
Yeah.
I think any other faction you could break in easier, even Signar, you just do something different. But in Crix, they don't want to show something different, they just want more Banes. Yeah, how do you do better than, let's say 3 casters, Gatsby 2, Denny 1, Denny 2.
Yep.
You put Scar in there. I mean, it's hard to break that lineup. It's an all-star lineup.
How sick is it when Scar 1 doesn't make your starting lineup?
She could, but, I mean, she doesn't do much more, in my opinion, than Denny 1 does. Yeah. And Denny 1 does it more obnoxiously. It makes your opponent hate life more.
Although I
must said for making your opponent hate life and make a mistake because he's frustrated. That's how Haley players win their games.
I will tell you though that Dark Guidance Gerlach is some of the best sex I've ever had.
It's legit.
that is just. I mean, when you can get a press ganger to rage quit, that's pretty good stuff. It takes a lot to move a press ganger over the edge, and I've done it with Scar 1. So anyway, yeah, I mean, there's my thoughts. I guess if you want, we talked maybe a little bit more about Gorshade 3 on the 2014 cast, but I would urge you to go back to the 2014 cast, listen to that. It's got good stuff on SR 2014, which is reason enough to listen to it, and then immediately subscribe to the Twitch channel so that you won't miss gems like that special moving forward. We've got another special coming up in the pipe. Brushhead Gex the Lizard is I've talked into doing a special on doing rainbows. So she's done these amazing rainbow color fades for a Beast Mistress battle group that she made for Jake Van Meter, and the stuff is amazing. So she's going to go over how she goes about doing the color fading and rainbows that she does. She does them very fast, too, which is amazing.
Excellent.
Yep.
Well,
Flippity Bloop.
Tau Dark just asked, it says, have you seen out the player under 35? Did you see her being viable in Mangled Metal with her focus and ancillary attack? I would actually say no, she's not viable in Mangled Metal because Ron.
Hey, Ron.
He does it better. He's got 8 focus. He can affect the game. Force Hammer's crazy. I mean, Gareth is super duper crazy in low points. Because he just runs forward and goes, all right, I pop my feet, you can't spend focus, come and kill me. If you're against a War Machine player. You're like, and they can't.
Yep.
I know, I have face tank. I'm like, oh, it's Vlad 2 and a bunch of stuff. Up here, pop my feet. Yeah, you can't kill me, I'm going to go kill you now because I got parry, what's up?
Oh, that sounds good, man. That's legit. So good answer on that one, John.
Thanks. I think we have one more.
Okay.
Oh, we do. Brian Fox, the Forsaken Pop-Tart himself, asks, what's the best pizza topping?
Tomatoes. Beer-soaked tomatoes. As a matter of fact, it's an interesting thing that you brought that up, Brian. Belinda and I who was my girlfriend, we had pizza tonight. I had a frozen Lou Malnati's pizza from Chicago in the freezer, and it was a cheese pizza, because with this pizza, putting anything on it is like putting a mustache on the Mona Lisa. But what they do with their tomatoes is they marinate them in beer. And I'm going to tell you what, those tomatoes are as good as it gets. And they don't have a traditional tomato sauce on their pizza. It's just, it's the top. The tomatoes are a topping, and that is all the tomato you're going to get on that pie. What do you think, John?
Well, I will respectfully disagree. I am not a fan of any sort of cooked tomato, but I might say probably ham.
Ooh,
I don't really go with the single topping, and pepperoni's good too, but ham is...
It's a classic choice.
Yeah, on my pizza it's just great. I prefer it with something else, but, if I had to choose just one, that was my only choice, I'd go ham.
Now, what if you took ham to its logical conclusion and made it bacon? Where do you sit on the bacon debate?
Well, I had a bad experience once, so I actually like the ham because the extra crunchy of bacon on a pizza, I think, detracts from it.
I can see that. It makes you think less about what's the crust doing.
Yeah, wow, I sound a little pretentious with that, don't I?
Well, it's okay. I mean, we're okay with that because you're the co-host, the Mo-host, and if you want to be a little bourgeois about your pizza, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I prefer it, ham with onions or ham with pineapples. Pineapples.
Oh, I don't like a pineapple. Don't get me the hot fruit. So that's where we sit on this thing, guys. So in case you're interested, stay away from the cooked tomatoes if you're going to be eating with John Spencer, and stay away from the hot fruit if you're with me. I'm not good with the hot fruit.
But fair warning, don't think just by putting cooked tomatoes on your pizza means I won't eat it if I'm hungry enough.
There, right. That's right.
I've had anchovies on a pizza before because they thought I wouldn't eat it, and I'm like, I'm hungry enough, I'll eat anything. I don't even care.
I got that. That's awesome. Cool. Anything else in the chat room there, pal?
No, I think that's it for the Flippity Bloops.
Oh my God! It's almost like we timed this show.
Yeah.
It's 8 o'clock on the head. We're done with the Flippity Bloops. I'm about to continue to do some more stuff here on Thorn. But before I do that, I need some Kraken. Now I'm going to reach out to the brush heads right now as I'm pouring this Kraken, and I'm going to say, guys, I hope you made the commitment this week to see Bulletproof Monk, because that's what we're going to talk about here in the next half hour. At least partly we're going to talk about it. We may run out of material. You never know. This is our first one. It's the Painting with MkII John Movie Club, starring the suggestion of the week, which was Bulletproof Monk, starring Chow Yun-fat. John, you own this movie. Why don't you give us just a brief top-up? By the way, spoilers. This is going to be a spoilerific half hour. I don't want you to leave, but if you might want to see this movie, so I guess just watch and then or I don't know what to tell you.
It's spoiler
alert. Do what you got to do.
10 years old.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So John, you own this movie.
Indeed.
And you watched it on Monday. I watched it on Friday. I think I said I think I announced it on. So yeah, that's what I did. So give us a very brief little top line on what is this movie about.
Well, it's about a scroll that gives you ultimate power.
Woo!
And how humanity's not ready for it.
Of course not.
And how Chow Yun-fat is protecting us from Nazis getting the scroll.
So yeah, okay. So first off, +1 to awesome. We have Nazis that are involved in a mystical pursuit. So we have our first movie tie-in, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep. And that's the basics of it. I mean, you get was it Sean William Scott, who is stickler in the American Pie movies that I've never seen.
Me either.
But everyone says that.
Okay.
Who plays the other protagonist, Carr, who's young, pickpocket, lives at a Chinese theater. Owned by Mako.
That was Mako?
That was Mako.
Oh my God.
I think that was one of his last roles too before he passed.
Heads off to Mako. So yeah, he plays a scalawag. Go figure.
With a heart of gold, of course.
Absolutely.
You see, at one point he buys 2 hot dogs and gives one to a homeless guy because he's a nice guy.
And that's the only reference they make to it too. They don't even they show it and then they never make reference to him being generous ever again in the movie.
Well, I like that. It just doesn't rub your face and anything like that. They do a lot of little touches like that.
Yep, agreed.
I actually like him in that movie. I like him in this kind of movie. I think they play up his ability to be kind of silly, stupid occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played it up a little bit too much, but it's a little less silly than he is in the Rundown.
Now, just correct me if I'm wrong, John, but Chow Yun-fat was also in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
So a ton of other movies that I could recommend.
Oh God, yeah. So the reason I bring that up is that this is one of those classic Chinese sort of fly-by-wire kung fu movies, kind of too. Yeah. There's a lot of wire action in this one.
Well, I think they actually use kind of not the best visual effects instead of wires, which is probably its one real downfall of the movie. Is that it? Quick fun fact: Burt Ward, who played Robin in the '60s Batman series, is the owner and one of the heads of the effects company that did effects for this movie.
Oh, you're kidding me!
Nope.
That's sort of awesome. Where you must have IMDb up.
No, actually, I saw it on a special before the movie came out, like years ago.
That's awesome.
I remember stupid facts like that.
That's what makes you the co-host, the host, is you're able to pull stuff like that out of thin air.
Yeah, I enjoy the heck out of this movie. It's fun, martial arts action. It kind of has a heart of gold.
Who's the girl?
The girl?
Who is she? What else has she done?
I do not know, but I know who knows, and I will find out from them.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and list some of the influences that I kind of picked up on in the movie. The movie came out in 2003, so it is after The Matrix, and so there's a lot of Matrix-like nods. There was some bullet time going on in it, with him dodging a bullet after he learns all the fu. And we've got that going on. We've got some Raiders of the Lost Ark references. When we have the mystic Nazis going after the scroll of ultimate power that's going to release. He's going to make the world into his own image and that kind of stuff. I loved I loved Mr. Funktastic.
Yes.
So there is
kind of amusing.
So there's a scene where our lead character Stifler ends up in a subway. He tries to pickpocket some guys, and he runs afoul of a subterranean gang led by a Scottish guy, who calls himself Mr. Funktastic. And he has
the idea that he was Australian, actually.
Oh, Australian, you're right. And then but he was wearing a kilt, wasn't he?
Don't think so. I didn't.
Or was he wearing tartans? I thought he was wearing tartans or some variety.
He was wearing weird stuff. His whole crew was kind of strange.
Yes.
But very comic booky, and this is based off a comic book, so.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it's based off an independent comic book.
See, this is why we do these kinds of things, because I'm going to learn something about it just by participating in the Painting with Menoth John movie club. So, there you go. So, I mean, I thought very highly of the movie. I thought that Chow Yun-fat did a great job. I mean, he's not a young man.
No.
And
honestly, martial arts is not his. He doesn't actually know martial arts to the best of my knowledge. It's not really his thing. It's sort of against type for him.
Really?
He's sort of he's the two guns.
It's kind of more of a John Woo kind of guy.
He is the John Woo guy.
Yep.
You're telling me you haven't seen Hard Boiled?
I have seen Hard Boiled.
Okay, he's Hard Boiled. That's sort of like his stereotypical role.
Okay. So there is a scene in this movie where he's standing on top of a car going all John Woo on it. And I'm going like, yeah, that's right. Now you're cooking.
Chow Yun-fat's awesome.
Yep, he's good stuff.
And I think he has a lot in the movie. This seemed like it could have been a Jackie Chan role, but I think it wouldn't have been as good with Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan is just too goddamn old now.
Well, they're actually similar age, but it's more of Jackie Chan doesn't have the same command of English.
True.
I'm sure he speaks it fine, but it doesn't. His accent's thicker, and he's got a different type of charisma. You'd have Goofy with Goofy, and it would have been
too goofy,
way too silly. Chow Yun-fat can play everything straight and still be occasionally funny.
I don't disagree with that. That's some good stuff. So, John, in your opinion, so I don't want to get rushing right to a grade on this movie. Where did you see other influences in the movie as well?
It was very comic booky. I mean, with it, if you stand back and objectively look at it, it's very by the numbers. Some comic influences, a case, a lot of kung fu movies, and a lot of like safe stuff, like Nazis are the villains because everyone hates Nazis, so they can be the villains. It's kind of the safe pick.
Good point.
But yeah, there's a lot of that kung fu influence. It's mostly like a kung fu action movie with Nazis.
I think you've just how could it be more awesome? You just said kung fu movie with Nazis. There you go, bam. Well, cool. So I think it was a heck of a good choice for our first movie one. John, I'd like you to render our first movie club rating on this as far as using the 5 shots of Kraken scale.
Let's see. I'm going to give it a 1.5 to 2. I mean, there's some dialogue problems. It's about one script punch up and one slightly better effects company away from being really good.
Yep.
But it's a hoot. You're going to have a good time. Heck, drink more Kraken if you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I would agree with that. I mean, I think it's a movie that benefits from the more Kraken you have, and we here at Painting with Men John recommend all the Kraken. So I would
responsibly, of course.
Well, yeah, don't drive in Kraken. Don't mean obviously. If you're only don't drive in and release the Kraken because that would be terrible. And we're not here to recommend that. So I'm going to see your 2 shots of Kraken or 1.5 Kraken. I'm going to give it 2 shots of Kraken. I think it does. It's certainly a good movie from a hey, you're going to sit down. You know what you're getting yourself into. It's going to have the Kong action. It's got the a little bit of the John Woo gun kata for a second and a half. Chow Yun-fat's just awesome to watch. The young lady that plays the femme fatale is kind of a badass. She's not really a femme fatale. She's just more of a strong lead. And there's and frankly the hydro-powered mind control, mind reading device is worth seeing all by itself.
It's pure comic book.
Oh, it's absolutely pure comic book. So for those of you who haven't seen it yet, shame on you, first off. Second of all, there's a thing where I guess I'm going to give it a Princess Bride reference because they hook a guy into this thing that's supposed to read his memories and tell him whether or not he knows anything about this scroll, and they have to open up a water valve to cause water to flow in and to power the device. So it's much like the thing that I was kept on waiting for Mandy Patinkin to come out and go, "There, I have just taken 1 year off of your life. How does that feel?"
That was the other guy, not Mandy Patinkin. That was
You're right. It was Christopher Guest. I'm sorry. Correct.
But that did sort of give that feel. But it was a good time. I mean, with all movies, I'll say, if you know what you're getting into, makes it better. And if you're in the mood for a kung fu action flick, but you want something a little more modern, this is your movie.
Yep. And frankly, folks, if it was a Painting with Men of John movie selection, you know what you're getting yourself into already. So there's no excuses. So that's our first one. Are we seeing any commentary in the chat room, John?
Cinderville did the IMDbing about as fast as I did, and that chick, Jamie King, was in Pearl Harbor, Sin City, The Spirit, and apparently White Chicks. I'm not sure why he put that on there. I don't think we've seen that.
Pretty sure I haven't seen White Chicks. I have, however, I've seen Pearl Harbor. I have not seen Sin City, but I would like to see it.
Sin City is legit good. It's better than The Spirit.
Cool. God, I'm not sure where to go with Thorn here next. I have to do some thinking here. So there you go. That's our first one. I don't know that we're going to do this every week, John, because I think that might burn us out on it. But I think maybe once a month might be nice.
Yeah, once a month sounds good. Maybe shoot for the first weekend of the month. We'll tell them what we're playing, what we're watching, and then the next weekend we'll have the review.
That's the kind of pure genius we've come to expect from you, John.
Which means you won't start again until March because we're going to miss 2 weeks in February.
Which makes you our winner this week on Captain Segway. Thank you very much, John, for bringing that up again because I had kind of forgotten about it. We are not, I will repeat, not going away. However, we have a little thing called TempleCon coming up. And we have a little thing called the Super Bowl that is in between. Usually they fall on the same weekend. And this year, however, due to scheduling and whatnot, they are not falling on the same one. And while I am not a huge sports fan, I do want to watch the Super Bowl. And so does John. So we're going to take a week's hiatus off of Painting with Men John to watch the Super Bowl, and then I'm going to be partying it up in Rhode Island for TempleCon. I may have the opportunity to record a special while I'm out there, but we are not going to have a regular Sunday night show for Painting with Men John on the Sunday of TempleCon. So, but we'll be back the week after that, and we're going to be doing some painting. We're going to be doing a lot of talking about whatever it is that's going to be unveiled at TempleCon. It's going to be a big thing. I know. I'm thinking it's going to be Zoo, which still may not be enough for me to get a Hordes faction, but it'll be exciting nonetheless. And so keep in mind that, guys, I will put up some reminders on the Painting with Men John Facebook site. If you are in the chat room and you have, or are watching this on YouTube and you have not liked the Painting with Men John Facebook, do you not like us? What's the problem? Why are you doing this? You're making us all feel bad. So please get onto the Painting with Men John Facebook and like the page. And that's the best way to keep in touch with Mr. John Spencer and myself, Men John, as it relates to Painting with Men John appearances, specials, or swag. Oh, did I say swag?
Swag.
I don't know about that. We'll have to see about that. Anyway.
Yeah. Plus, you guys might have some suggestions for occasional segments or names for our segments. Tao Dark just suggested Monthly Movies with Men John.
Oh, I like that.
M3, as he calls it, for our movie feature, which is legit.
Oh my God, I'm in love with that.
Yeah,
legendary brush status. You just made legendary brush head status for that, by the way. That's fantastic. Go ahead.
What was it? Well, we actually both watched at least one other movie this week, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Would you like to talk about yours first?
Sure. I watched the Vin Diesel classic, Triple X.
Hot damn.
Which, considering my recent movie history, I think I've watched most of Vin Diesel's starring role movies.
You know, we've both been on a Vin Diesel tear lately. What does that say about us?
I think it's that we like action movies.
Hell yeah, baby. And he's good at them. So, I'll say so. Triple X.
Triple X. You know, it's fun spy feature. He plays Xander Cage. He's a extreme sports star.
Extreme!
Stealing cars from senators and jumping them off of bridges.
Wait, isn't that Fast and the Furious? Isn't that the Fast and the Furious?
Oh, kinda. It has some in common. But yeah, it's good fun. I mean, the plot's good enough. It's got Samuel L. Jackson in that sort of, you know, you have that big actor to lend some credence and add a little stability to a very. It tries not to be too silly, but it's a really silly movie.
That's fine. It should be silly. It should revel in its silliness.
Yeah, it is. I think actually the director is the director of the first Fast and the Furious movie.
Nice.
Rob Cohen. It's fun. It's very PG-13. Wears it on its sleeve a couple times when not a lot of blood. When given the chance, he knocks people unconscious.
Nice.
And my favorite is based on something I read. Is the first scene of the movie is, you know, the unnamed secret agent comes in, steals the file from the guy, takes off his black ninja suit, and he's wearing a tux.
Oh, snap.
And he ends up in the wrong place with tux-wearing people and gets shot and killed.
Oh.
And Rector apparently named that The Death of the Tuxedo, which is kind of funny as far as a chapter name for a movie, and kind of fitting.
That's pretty funny. But
Samuel L. Jackson is good in it. He doesn't have a lot of parts, but he lends his standard gusto to a role, which is good.
Yeah.
Asia Argenta is the female protagonist and love interest. The love interest here is a little forced. I wish they would have not had that, but it takes a very brave movie to not do that. There's very few that don't just go for the easy love interest.
Yeah, seriously.
But it's a good time. It's got good stunts and a lot of crazy stuff. Set your reality meter for not really.
For stunned.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, the laws of physics, they're still speaking basis, but they don't really. They're seeing other people now. They don't get together too much.
It wasn't him. It was you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I give this movie the same two shots of Kraken. It's Vin Diesel. He's pretty awesome. He plays a tough guy well. He's got enough charisma to carry it. The bad guy in it is properly menacing. He's got a great bad Russian accent.
Nice.
And it's just fun.
So, have you seen, by any chance, have you seen Riddick, the third movie?
No, it is next. My wife has seen it. She
Okay.
saw it with her buddy. I didn't get a chance to.
It's like you can pay to watch it on Amazon Prime now, and I'm still holding out. I mean, I went through a weekend where I watched Pitch Black and then I watched the animated feature and all that kind of stuff. I like a Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Vin Diesel's good fun. I mean, Vin Diesel in an action movie is enough to get me in.
Yep. He does a nice job with it. And he's a gamer, so I'm kind of down with that, too.
Yeah. And actually, that's the reason I saw Knockaround Guys, which is not an action movie, but because Vin Diesel was in it.
What kind of movie is Knockaround Guys?
Kind of mafia movie.
All right, cool. That's good to watch too sometimes. Got to be in the mood for it. But so cool. My movie was quite a bit different than your movie. I watched Rise of the Guardians, which was it was last night. It was Saturday night. Had both my boys. The amazing Belinda came over, and we wanted to watch a movie. And in my house, I'm picking out movies based on, will this cause my children nightmares? Which is very difficult for me to do sometimes because I want to expose them to the classics, but I have to be extremely careful. I tried Gremlins and got my 7-year-old to cry, which was bad. Don't do that, folks. Gremlins is not for 7-year-olds. Just letting you know. And then, but so I've been erring more towards the safe side. And if you haven't seen Rise of the Guardians, you got to see it. It is essentially the story of Jack Frost and how he is contacted by the big guys, the real Guardians, the Easter Bunny, Santa, and the Tooth Fairy, and Sandman, to come and defend the children of the world against the boogeyman. And Santa is portrayed as a ostensibly Russian guy who is ripped. This guy is not fat. He is strong like bear. And he has tattoos on his forearms. One reads naughty, the other one reads nice. And it is the coolest portrayal of Santa Claus ever. The whole time I'm watching it, I'm going, yeah, Santa, go get some. And I was totally taken by it. And it is a kind of a redemption story for Jack Frost. Have you seen the movie, John?
I have not, but I've heard quite a bit about it from some of my coworkers.
I think it's terrific, and I highly recommend it for kids. I highly recommend it for adults who still like being a kid, like me. And I give it a solid 1 shot of Kraken.
I've heard it described as the Avengers for kids.
Oh my God! What a good analogy. There's comedy. There's the slightest hint of romance between Jack Frost and the Tooth Fairy, and the Tooth Fairy's kind of pretty, so yay, and the voice acting is impeccable. Jude Law plays the boogeyman. He does a great job doing that. Let's see, who played Santa Claus? Santa Claus was played by Adam Baldwin, I think. Is that right, Belinda?
Was it Alec Baldwin?
Alec Baldwin? Yeah, Alec Baldwin. Fantastic job. Just did a great job. I was rooting for Santa Claus the whole time. The Easter Bunny was Hugh Jackman. So as an Australian Easter Bunny, it was so well done. Guys, if you've got kids, get it. Watch it. Watch. If you don't have kids, get it. Watch it. I highly recommend it. One Shot of Kraken, and at 8:24, I'm going to finish this little bit of Shot of Kraken for the Rise of the Guardians. Hats off to those guys.
Is it on Netflix?
It is. Cripes, where is it? It's on. I watched it on Xfinity on Demand, which it's. Let me see where it is. It might be on HBO. Hang on. It's on. Come on, talk to HBO right now. So, it's not out on Netflix yet. So.
Okay. I was looking for maybe getting the 1 month free subscription to see it.
It's so good. It might be worth picking up on. Let's see, what was I going to say? You could pick it up on Amazon Prime, probably, or Amazon.com, and just for like $5 or something like that. I would imagine it probably is available.
It's actually kind of expensive.
Really?
It's like $15.
Wow. It's not worth $15.
I might get my buddy who's got kids to let me borrow it. He's been offering that and like Despicable Me and stuff.
Dude,
it's tough because I'll get to watch it and then my wife will see it with me, and that's lots of time scheduling problems.
Dude, Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2 are two of the finest movies cinema has to offer. It's fantastic. I am just trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with my focus tonight. I'm having camera stress tonight, folks. I have to tell you about it. All right. So, but it's a good time to have camera stress because it is 8:26, John. Where did the time go? That's what I want to know.
With the good times. Good times.
It was good times. And so Kurgash found an anime website for those of us who want to not pay for it. I'm always in favor of not paying for it.
Especially with anime, it's so hit or miss. Like, you'll occasionally be like, oh, that was awesome, and then sometimes you're like, what was that?
And sometimes it's like, oh my god, I'm watching this.
Yeah, because I was a big anime guy in my late teens and early 20s, and every time now I try and go buy a new anime, I'm like, not very impressed with it.
Something happened because Cowboy Bebop is amazing and continues to be amazing. Evangelion is amazing for 22 episodes.
I thought it was okay. I never really got too much into it, though, because I am a huge Robotech fan. That's sort of my genre of giant robots. This was a little different and not really my thing.
It's half giant robot movie. It's half what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that there's some good, and then there's things like Elfen Lied, which is Elfen Lied is literally the outhouse hole you can't stop looking down.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. There's a lot. I mean, you're still in the relatively tasteful anime.
Yeah. So I think maybe next week during the media half hour, the third half hour of the Painting with Men with John show, perhaps we shall talk some anime because that might be hilarious.
I will. You know what? I will queue up one of my favorites to talk about.
Awesome. What are you going to queue up?
Very old school. I want to queue up Riding Bean.
Oh my God! Well, you watch that. I'm going to watch probably some best sessions of Cowboy Bebop, and so we'll talk a little bit of anime next time on Painting with Manoth John. I would encourage the brushheads, the legendary brushheads, the brushhead wannabes to go ahead and think about what are your favorite animes. Put them into the Flippity Bloop thread that I'll start probably Saturday-ish, and we'll talk some anime on next week's show. So, John, I think it's that time.
I think it is.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring up the music, because that's what we do here on Painting with Menace, John. Ah, yeah. I thought about getting some new music for the Painting with Minoff John show, but then I didn't.
I'm looking into it on my end.
Yep. So, guys, it's 8:30, and parting is such sweet sorrow. It's we made some progress tonight. Here's Thorn. He's got a couple colors on him. Can't argue with that. Here's our junior Warcaster. She's got platinum colored hair. I may dry brush her with a pink color just to kind of highlight it up a little bit because I think that'd be funny. And these guys will give a little brush love this week, and you'll be looking at a done Junior Warcaster and a done Thorn next week on Painting with Minoff John. I want to thank John Spencer, the co-host, a guy I could not do this show without, and I also want to give a shout out to the brush heads, the legendary brush heads. We wouldn't do it if it weren't for you. So, on behalf of John Spencer and Minoff John, this has been Painting with Minoff John. Have a great week, and we'll see you same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great week, folks.